Hey guys, good evening. This is your girl, Dr. Sherry, Soul to Soul Doctor. Just wanted to share with all my people out there, especially mothers or women, those of you who are holding things down, to be kind to yourself. Remember to be kind and to show grace to yourself. This year has been an amazing year for me. Of course, my first year of seminary. Last semester, I had one and a half classes, and got a 4.0, and it was great. And still teaching my classes on the weekend, and my classes down at OU, my things, internship counselor at Millwood, doing all that, right, and still managing the thing. This semester, I said, "Oh, let's take 3 classes. I can do it," and things were going well. I mean, I had my time where Byron and I would teach on Tuesday and Thursday down at university. So I would teach first while he was away studying or preparing for his class. And then when he would teach his class, that was my time to study. That was my time to do my reading for the week. And so I had everything kind of scheduled out. And I knew, I knew exactly what I wanted to do and what I needed to do. Because by the time I'd get home, I knew how home life just changed. And so I was very strategic about those times when I could read and spend some time studying. Well, then guess what hit? COVID-19 hit, and we were all at the house. And so, of course, we set up the living room for Cortland, but I still had to figure out, how do I manage Zoom calls for the high school? How do I manage Zoom calls for the college? How do I manage Zoom calls and leadership meetings for the church? And then still, oh yeah, I'm in class. I am in class. That never changed. Y'all, I'm sitting outside. It's beautiful out, but the wind is killing me. Probably should have thought that, but I'm out here now, so I'm committed to it. So going through, what's very interesting is, so of course, I have a 20-year-old now. He's a sophomore, just finished his sophomore year at college. And then one who will be 16 next week, who just finished his sophomore year in high school. And it came to me probably at the beginning of the semester about grades, and how I realized, especially my 16-year-old, I'm giving him 16 already, my 16-year-old, how he's in a school where they're focused on AP testing and that, of course, it's college prep. So that's, of course, what you want. But I also realized that sometimes we put so much into making the grade and fitting inside of a box that we don't fully develop the individual. And so I decided, hey, I'm going to make some changes, because it's really not that serious. It is serious, but it's not that serious. Grades aren't everything. Shh, don't tell him I said that. But even I realized that with my college sophomore, he has developed and found a love and a passion for something. He's not taking any classes on it. Actually, he can probably change his major now because he found something that he loved to do. But had I been, down his throat, oh, you got to get this business class, or you got to get this right. It was really about letting him grow and letting him develop. And so now it's wonderful to see what he's interested in and how he has a passion every day that he wakes up. And so, the thing is, don't do what you do to make money. Do something that you're passionate about, so that you'd wake up every morning excited about doing it no matter what, right? That eventually you'll make money doing just that. And so I do believe prayerfully, that Chandler is coming to that place. And I know that Cortland, as we go through this summer and put some things in his hands and some tools in his hands, that he's going to come to that as well. So as a mommy and as a woman, I am constantly speaking into them. Well, I must admit, throughout my journey this semester, and especially coming home, that I was initially becoming very hard on myself, because I had lost that space. I had lost that time where I could go and study and be away and really focus on me, because everybody was in the house at the same time, and I had so many responsibilities, and I was being pulled every which way. So I had to remind myself, okay, girl, listen, you still have things to do. Get your life, right? You don't have to get all excited. Be kind to yourself. Be gracious to yourself. So what's interesting, I didn't even know, like every Sunday night I'd have to do a post for all 3 classes. Of course, the posting would start by Friday. And you had to post everybody had to at least post by Friday. And then all the reply posts needed to be completed by Sunday at 11:59, or for one class by 10 o'clock on Monday. And so I had my schedule down. But yeah, the weekend I was kind of a little stressed because I'd lost that time to read and study. And so I was really kind of still developing things over the weekend. But I did realize that the same thing that I was teaching them applied to me as well. So I really didn't even look at my weekly grade to see what my test was. I did not look at the grade book to see what my test was every week, because I knew that I was growing and developing, right? So being in seminary, at least the seminary where I am, it's not Bible school. This is not something you learn in Sunday school, right? That's Sunday school. This is seminary. So I'm realizing, even as I'm reading and as I'm writing and reading scripture and reading historical text, which is not even my thing. I'm a math and science girl, right? But as I'm going through, I'm realizing that there's so much embedded theology, meaning there are things that I do and things that I say only because it's embedded in me. I don't even know why I think a certain way, because either you're taught that as a little girl, you're taught that growing up in church, you're taught that in Sunday school, you're taught that this is what you do, mother wit, you're taught all those things, and realize that it has, so all of those ideas you bring to the text, all of those things you bring to whatever you're trying to interpret. And so part of this semester was really getting to the bottom of that and realizing, being challenged. Every time I'd write something, the professor would be like, and why do you think you think that way? Huh? I don't know. My mama told me. I don't know. But it was really like peeling back the layers of an onion and developing what it is. What is my theology? Not what I was taught in church, not what I was instilled with my parents or my grandparents, but what is the theology as I talk to God and as I commune with God every day? What is it that God is saying to me? Right. And so realizing that at 48, my thinking and my beliefs might be very different than they were when I was 18. And that's okay. And that's what this semester has been for me. So I really wasn't even concerned about the grade, right? Because I knew that I was learning. I knew that I was developing. I knew I was getting something in one semester that I had not gotten all of my life, right? And so this has been just a great process. But so last week I had, during this time, actually, I was getting ready to take a test. I just completed a 21-page paper for one class. Actually, there were 3 small papers that I had to put together to form the 21-page paper. Did that, was excited about that. And then I had like a couple of hours to finish cramming for a test in the other class. Sat out here on the porch, had everything together, took the test. And when I finished, I failed and I had a 55. I was like, can we find 5 more points to at least get a D? What's funny is I didn't cry. I was a little salty. I was salty because honestly, I knew that I could handle it all. But I mean, the final, he had some stuff on there that wasn't on there. And I'm sure I probably studied the wrong stuff or didn't study enough. But no, he put some stuff on there he didn't talk about. So I'm going to leave that alone. But I got in the room and I was supposed to be in a leadership meeting with the church. My husband's like, oh, you ready? I said, no, I'm taking a shower. And I got into bed. I didn't cry, but I was like, I really have nothing to say to anybody else. And not because of the grade, but because I really felt like I should have been able to handle that. So yeah, I've been doing all these things. Yeah, I finally got my internship kids squared away by Wednesday. OU had been done for 2 weeks. Cortland just finished school Wednesday. I was like, yeah, I can do this. And you know what? I had to wind up showing grace to myself and say, you know what, Sherry, maybe you can't do all of it. Maybe it takes a little more time, but to be kind to yourself. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. So I just needed about 12 hours, let's just lie down. Let's think about it. Let's reset. Because actually, I still had one more paper to write. The paper that was due on this past Friday that I completed. You saw my post earlier, like I turned it in. And so I'm grateful that in the process, I've learned again to be gracious and to show grace to myself, right? Sometimes it's very easy to do that for others, but we have this expectation of ourselves that we should be able to handle everything, be able to do everything without asking for help. What I am grateful about is I was a little salty, like I said, and so I emailed the teacher and I said, well, if I had done this, would it have been, because it was like out of 153 points. He didn't respond for a couple of days, and then when he did respond, he said, don't worry about it, that, it was only 25% of your grade. It's not like one of those final tests where it's half the grade, right? And so I had done well enough in my other classes, but he said, let's focus on the paper. And so even in my thesis statement of the paper, he said, you have some great ideas, but did you consider this? Well, why are you thinking this? I'm like, here we go again, this doggone embedded theology. And what does it mean to me? Right. So anyway, I went through that, and actually one night I fell asleep at 8 o'clock. Byron, I think, was getting to bed about 11:30 or 12, and I popped up, and I was like, okay, Byron and Cortland were down. I cleaned the kitchen, and the Holy Spirit was like, bam, here's the rest of your paper. And I sat there from midnight until 5 a.m. Typing and figuring out and putting it all together. It was like the light bulb came on. And I said, Sherry, listen, you've been sweating it. Actually, I really wasn't sweating it too much. I knew I had to do well on the paper to make up for that test I just failed. So grateful to say I got to be on the paper, ended the class with a C. Still didn't sweat it because I could have been like, hey, well, last semester I had a 4.0. This semester, I don't know my other two classes. I know I did pretty well in those, but ended this class with the C. That could have been an ego buster. But I am so grateful that I had the experience. One, because when it happened, I went and told both of my boys along with my husband, and Chandler was going back to his apartment that night, and he texted me. He said, Mom, like you tell me, tomorrow's a brand new day with brand new mercies, and you'll kill it tomorrow. I was like, thank you, son. You got a wise mama, right? So I was glad that they poured back into me what I had been pouring into them. But I just wanted to remind you, I could have gone crazy. I could have gone cuckoo. I could have been crying. And it's like, listen, it is what it is, right? I didn't do well on that, but the next assignment I did well on. I salvaged a C in the class, but I've grown so much. So you can't take that from me. And so again, a lesson even with your kids, and you're going through that, sometimes for a child to get a C. Now it's different if the child's not trying to work at all, right? And you see they just goofing off. But if you see they're working, and maybe the way the teacher expresses it, maybe they don't get it that way. But the same for you, whatever you're going through in your life, those things, that you're going to figure out in this quarantine time, and what you're going to get out of this. Just be gracious to yourself. Give yourself time to grow. If it's about business, give yourself time to develop the business. Give yourself time to forgive yourself. If you're writing and you've been journaling and all of a sudden you hit a roadblock, okay, go for a walk, forget it, put it down for 24 hours. And then when you're ready, then pick it back up and say, okay, I'm ready to get this started. I'm ready to continue to go. But just be kind. That's just my word. Be mamas, wives, women, be kind to yourself. Show grace to yourself like you would show to someone else. And I promise you it's going to be okay. So one bad grade is not the end of the world. Again, I was able to salvage that, but I've grown so much more in this time. And so I'm really excited even as I go into this summer. So now like my summer like is officially here. So all the time during the shelter in place, it was not a time of rest for me. And so I'm going to continue working out and eating right and doing those things to pour into me to make sure that Sherry is the best Sherry that Sherry can be. I can't be you. Don't want to be you. Right. I like me. And so I'm going to use this time to really focus in, to organize some things, to reorganize my thinking, reorganize not even just my house, because the house is one thing, but really how do I reorganize what's going on internally? How do I make sure that there's some things that I need to dismiss out of my life, and some thoughts and emotions that need to be dismissed to make room for those new things that God has for me. So I hope that you're going to do the same. I hope that this has blessed you. I hope that that thing that you are just hounding yourself for, my word to you is show yourself some grace. It's going to be okay. It's not the end of the world. You mess up, guess what? Like I tell the boys, tomorrow is a brand new day with brand new mercies, and you can start all over again. So be blessed. Love you. Enjoy the outdoors when you can. And I will talk to you later. See you online. Toodle-woodles.